This big storm just took a concerning turn. Caribbean beware. Welcome to the weather forecast on BTB TN8 channel. Dear friends, in today's bulletin, we'll be looking at the risk of severe weather returning across the central United States over the next few days. Specifically some stronger winds, some hail, and a few possible tornadoes. We'll be looking at a hurricane turning, which could impact our weather in Canada and the United States in October. We'll be looking at tropical weather, as Hurricane Gabrielle is still around. This storm continues to bring some rain and maybe even wind to some areas of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, back to the Bahamas. If you like this video, please share it with your friends, family, and on social media. Comment in the comment section below the video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you. We have more vortices in the mid-atmosphere over the Rockies. And that's going to spread down into the southern plains. And that's going to bring some severe weather. So the Red River Valley, northern Texas, southern Oklahoma, around the Dallas area, and areas there toward Wichita Falls will have some scattered severe weather. And then as you go up here through the Ozarks of Missouri, the Illinois Valley there down toward St. Louis and Springfield, Illinois, and then into the Ohio Valley, Indianapolis, Dayton, Toledo, Detroit, even into the Louisville and Cincinnati areas. Some of the stronger storms there will also push into northwest Iowa and Minnesota. Then as we go into tomorrow, it looks like a much stronger severe weather day in Kansas, western Oklahoma, and the northeast Texas Panhandle, so Dallas and Little Rock. Further north and east, you'll go toward the Ohio River. Areas near Louisville, Lexington and Paducah, we're likely to see a lot of rain. And this is going to be some much needed rain from here all the way down to the Missouri River, all the way up to the Ohio River, where we could see 10 to 18 inches of rain between now and next Sunday. So, definitely more intense rain as we go north. Chicago, Des Moines, and up toward Omaha. The further north we go, the less rain we're going to see. The further south we go, the more rain we're going to see. Now, let's look at the last week of September. And this is next week. Note that across the southern 48 states, some cooler temperatures could be coming from the southern plains near the Ohio River. Rain will help cool our temperatures a little bit. But further north into Canada, it's much warmer than you should see here in late September. So we're talking about you in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba and Ontario, even the Northwest Territories. Up in northern Canada, much higher than normal temperatures. And I feel like this is going to bring a big change in the weather pattern as we get into the first week, even the second week of October. So below normal temperatures are favored here into the upper Midwest and the western Great Lakes. Particularly wetter in the Northeast, but the East Coast, including Florida, is looking pretty wet. Alaska, Southeast Alaska, is also looking wet. But it's worth noting that this is actually going to bring a strong cold front into the eastern and central United States into the first week of October. And we're going to see wetter weather in the west, but I think with the cold front coming through, we're going to see some heavier rains across the east coast. And that could trend towards the northeast. However, I feel like we're going to be drier across the upper Midwest as that cold front moves through. Now, looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, which is going to be September 27th through October 1st here, we can see that temperatures are expected to warm from coast to coast. It's really hard to find any areas that are anywhere near average. It's almost just southern Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. And those areas could be much hotter than almost anywhere else that's above average. We see the Rocky Mountains in the corner states here that will have activity tomorrow. Also, a lot of the deeper south and Midwest, deeper south, Midwest, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, interior, Mid-Atlantic, interior, northeast here. Some of the southeast, There are some dry areas and unfortunately for tomorrow, really dry areas like what's been happening for the past several months. We have low pressure in Oklahoma. Some thunderstorm activity. There's severe weather going on there today. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens over the next couple of days. Plains and Midwest. By Wednesday, we start to see some of this thunderstorm activity spread to areas further south. But Thursday, things get interesting. This low pressure is over the Great Lakes. We have a little cold front here. Warm air is trying to build. Some of this rain will spread to the northeast by mid to late next week. We see New England, New York State, the Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast, all getting some really good heavy showers, maybe even some thunderstorms in some of these places. Areas that really need the rain. As we continue to move toward Monday here on the 29th, we'll be much drier. We see on Tuesday here on the 30th, we'll have colder air moving east. By Wednesday, October 1st, you'll see this ridge of high pressure again in the west and central part of the country, and then a trough of low pressure in the east. But temperatures will be near normal or slightly below normal. So compared to normal numbers, the most below average temperatures across at least the east coast will be North Carolina, Virginia, and up to the mid-Atlantic coast. The most above average areas will be Georgia and South Carolina here, and then a lot of the plains in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Oh, but overall the country will be drier. We'll have cooler than normal conditions, but it won't be a blast of cold air coming in from the Arctic. We're going to have a cold front coming directly from the west with near normal to slightly below normal conditions here in late September. And then as we move on, we're going to have another cold front, a kind of rearward cold front that's a little bit lighter. There's colder air trying to counter it from Canada. And then we have this rich Arctic air right here. It's going to move in. It's going to move into the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. We're going to be talking about a major storm that's going to be hitting the United States over the next few days. This is going to be a major storm because not only are we looking at the potential for severe weather across much of the plains and even the Ohio Valley, but we're also looking at the potential for flash flooding, especially as we move into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, and even into parts of the Laura Valley, where we could be talking about higher rainfall totals. But in terms of rainfall, it looks like we're going to see enough to potentially see flooding across the Central Plains into the Ohio Valley today. Likewise, we're going to be heading into tomorrow with a slight risk of flash flooding across parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri, western Tennessee, and even Oklahoma. I still think Wednesday will be the heaviest rainfall day, especially since we still have the risk of flash flooding from parts of Ohio and even extending into parts of Mississippi and Alabama. We still have the potential to see some in Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, and even as far south as Kansas. But they've actually added a new severe weather threat to areas around Omaha and even in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we could see some severe storms in the Ohio Valley, but they don't seem to be as significant as what we're expecting in the plains. However, we could still have some scattered storms throughout the Ohio Valley that could produce some damaging winds. And that seems to be the main concern. But I think we're especially watching here across Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and even down in southern Kansas. We could also see some large hail, which is the main concern overall. And we could even see some damaging wind gusts, which is the main concern in parts of the Ohio Valley. And then the last day we have is Tuesday, where we actually have a pretty long margin of risk heading from parts of the lower Ohio Valley and even back into Texas. Right now across the Ohio Valley, we're just starting to see a lot of showers and thunderstorms develop across the plains areas where we could see damaging winds, large hail, and even a few tornadoes. And the same thing is happening tonight. And then it looks like a lot of those showers and thunderstorms are going to continue to push into the Ohio Valley again. So we need to keep a very close eye on it because it looks very concerning even as we go into Wednesday. Areas as far north as central Ohio and even central Indiana could still see some pretty significant rainfall. Be prepared for that because flash flooding is possible. In terms of temperatures, we're still going to be trending above normal, particularly in the northern plains, the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and even down into the Rocky Mountains, where we're really starting to see temperatures start to get a lot warmer. And even as we move into October, you can see from about September 29th all the way through October 25th, we're still going to see above normal temperatures across a pretty large portion of the United States. We're going to see a lot of showers and thunderstorms over the next few days. But hopefully we'll get some rain at some point in October. And then, of course, temperatures are also going to be trending above normal in parts of the southern southeast and even southeast into the Rocky Mountains. So across the United States, we have a low pressure area that's approaching the Pacific Ocean right now. Pressure is generally higher than normal for the year. And as we progress, as you can see, we'll eventually see as we get into about the 23rd, a trough of moisture from Canada coming down into the United States, mostly back into Nebraska, parts of Kansas. It'll bring some of the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico up into the United States and some of the colder, drier air behind it, creating a little bit of a battle zone here for Oklahoma, Kansas, maybe even parts of Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska. And as the low moves through, we'll typically see an increase in showers, thunderstorms, and the potential for some severe weather. So we'll definitely be on the lookout over the next few days for some severe weather. As this trough continues to erupt eastward as we move into the next day, the 24th, you can see that we still have a pretty significant amount of upper-level flow around a low-pressure system that is likely centered over Missouri. This will cause really widespread thunderstorms from Illinois down into Kentucky into Alabama, Mississippi throughout the 24th into the 25th. Right now, in terms of temperatures across the United States, it's still going to be relatively warm here near the Ohio Valley, down into the southeast and Texas. But eventually, as that trough starts to erupt, that's where we're going to start to see a little bit of a change in temperatures. We're going to see temperatures in the 90s start to creep back into Kansas, Nebraska, up into Iowa, maybe even into the 100s in Texas. As we move into the 23rd, you can see that trough really erupt down into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and also into the southeast where we're going to see a cooling. As that trough of low pressure moves into the area, temperatures can drop into the 70s, 60s across the Ohio Valley, up into the Great Lakes, even Texas, and drop into the 80s during peak heat hours. Now, we're going to get into the tropics, where there's a lot of concern. We have a strong tropical storm, Gabrielle, which is currently predicted to become a major hurricane, approaching Bermuda to the east. Fortunately, this storm is not expected to directly impact any land for a long time. And then we have a moderate chance of development right after that. Let's look at Gabrielle first. Maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour with this tropical storm moving northwest at 12 miles per hour. So, still slowly moving toward Bermuda. Gabrielle has just gone from a relatively minor hurricane to almost a major hurricane, and it looks like it could even become a Category 3 hurricane. So we want you guys in Bermuda to stay ready because it looks like it could move west just a few miles. But we think you'll be fine, although it's a little windy and maybe some rain. And then we've got some tropical waves. Now, this one's going to be east of Bermuda, and it's going to continue to strengthen. Winds are around 90 miles per hour right now, so that's about 100,145 kilometers an hour. Well, the core is still east of Bermuda. We're going to have rough seas. And then it's going to move into Thursday night into Friday. The core could be just north of the Azores. Azores is going to be at least 80 kilometers an hour from Thursday night into Friday. So, it could strengthen a little bit, potentially become a major Category 3 hurricane. And then it's going to stabilize a little bit, and then eventually it's going to fade as it moves into the colder waters of the North Atlantic. It's going to weaken a little bit, but it could be a big wind for the Azores as we head into the weekend. It's going to weaken a little bit, but it could be a big wind for the Azores as we head into the weekend. This is Gabrielle. This is that sneaky little spot, the first tropical wave, the second wave that follows it. But as we go through this week, those areas are more likely to move a little bit more westward. That means we're going to get some very heavy rain in the northern and northeastern parts of the Caribbean and eventually the Turks and Souths in the Bahamas. This is when we get into Thursday. And then as we get into Saturday, you can see an area that's right in here, near the Bahamas. Probably at this point, at least a lot of rain. This will be the third spot. So you see what we're facing now. Carolina, as you're probably watching, yeah, this could be a tropical storm this weekend, or it could move a little bit south. It could go into the Gulf. I'm not sure yet just because it's at the end of its path. It hasn't developed yet. Now, let's take a closer look. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, United States, British Virgin Islands. Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda, Guadeloupe, here, Saint Martin, Saint Barts, Saint Lucia, Barbados. And you see, the rain is going to be really heavy. Let's see more heavy rain. Sebastia, Saint Kitsanas. Montserrat, it's going to be a little bit clear. We might have a couple of islands, not many, while a neighboring island might get some tropical showers. And then on Wednesday, the rain will spread. Even Barbados, St. Lucia, north, and then on Wednesday it will hit the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. And then late Wednesday it will reach Puerto Rico. It's still on the back of this tropical disturbance. More rain, and by Thursday it will pick up north. But on Thursday, the heavier rain has taken us back south through St. Croix. Is turning back towards Puerto Rico. And this could increase the rainfall towards Haiti, Giselle, Port-au-Prince, Cento, Domingo as we head into the Dominican Republic. And eventually the Turks and Colorado. Watch for some storms. Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic today. But this is the first point that will start to make landfall. That's where we'll start to see more rain. Dominica, St. Lucia, Barbados is seeing some rain, at least near Barbados. From Puerto Rico down to St. Lucia a little bit, Dominica, Martinique. Puerto Rico, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Barts, Antigua, Barbuda, British and U.S. Virgin Islands, anywhere in here there's a chance for flooding. Especially starting tomorrow night, the chance for heavy rain will really increase. We could have some spots of 150 millimeters or 6 inches of rain or more. On the Pacific side, there's a 90% chance of development here, and it's going to continue to move west, just west of Mexico as we get into the middle of next week, on Wednesday the 24th. Tropical storm blowing from offshore, but still increasing rainfall on the southern coast of Mexico. Winds right now are around 40 to 50 miles per hour. Speeds are around 80 miles per hour. It's going to become a hurricane. And then on Friday the 26th, it's going to continue to move west. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you for watching the news on VTB TN8 channel.